The alien diplomats arrived without warning, their obsidian ships hanging above Earth like unmoving shadows, blotting out stars and hope alike. They called themselves the Viex Concord, a coalition that had conquered 1,000 worlds through negotiation backed by annihilation. Their message was broadcast on every screen, in every language, delivered in a calm and almost polite tone. Humanity was given a choice: unconditional surrender, disarmament of all planetary defenses, and submission to off-world governance. In return, Earth would be spared destruction, and its population would be catalogued as a labor-protected species. The diplomats spoke as if the matter was already decided, as if resistance was a childish fantasy. World leaders gathered in emergency sessions, panic rippling through governments and militaries alike. The Viex ships scanned the planet openly, mapping cities, oceans, and fault lines. Every scan felt like a finger tightening around a trigger. What the Viex did not understand was that humanity had been here before. Not with aliens, but with tyrants, empires, and threats that promised mercy in exchange for obedience. History whispered a single lesson into human memory: surrender only delayed suffering. And while the diplomats waited confidently for compliance, something old and dangerous began to stir on Earth. The official response was transmitted 48 hours later. It was brief, direct, and carried no trace of fear. Humanity does not surrender. The Viex diplomats reacted with confusion rather than anger. They reminded Earth of the imbalance of power, of fleets that could crack continents and burn atmospheres. They offered one final chance to reconsider. Behind the scenes, Earth's militaries mobilized at a scale never before attempted. Hidden bunkers opened, classified projects were dragged into the light, and alliances once fractured by politics were reforged by survival. Human scientists activated weapons that had never been tested, designed not for victory, but for defiance. Civilians were evacuated into underground cities. Factories were converted overnight into war forges. Humanity did not pray for salvation, it prepared for war. The Viex began limited strikes to demonstrate dominance, vaporizing uninhabited regions and crippling orbital infrastructure. They expected panic, riots, and pleas for mercy. Instead, they received silence, followed by countermeasures. Missiles pierced alien shields for the first time in Concord history. The message was clear: Earth would not kneel quietly. The war ignited across the solar system. Viex fleets poured into orbit, while human ships, crude but relentless, surged upward to meet them. Every battle was asymmetric, but every loss hardened human resolve. Humanity fought with something the Concord had forgotten how to measure: desperation fused with ingenuity. Civilian engineers rewrote targeting systems mid-battle. Pilots rammed alien cruisers when ammunition ran dry. The Viex were stunned by casualty reports. They had never encountered a species willing to absorb such losses without breaking. Humanity did not fight to win quickly, it fought to make the war unbearable. On the ground, alien landing forces were met by urban warfare, perfected through centuries of human conflict. Cities became traps, streets turned into kill zones. Every building concealed resistance. The Concord escalated, deploying planet killers and bioweapons. Humanity responded by unleashing its final deterrent, the Aegis Array, a solar-scale weapon network designed in secrecy for a war no one believed would come. Stars bent, space ignited, and the ultimate war truly began. The Aegis Array did not destroy the Viex fleet. It did something worse: it crippled their command structure. Entire armadas were stranded, blind, and isolated. Human strike groups hunted these fleets relentlessly. For the first time, the Concord tasted fear. Their diplomats vanished from broadcasts, replaced by emergency distress signals. Captured Viox officers revealed the truth. The Concord had never faced total resistance. Their empire was built on fear, not resilience. As the war dragged on, alien worlds rebelled, inspired by humanity's refusal to submit. Supply lines collapsed, alliances fractured. The Concord began to bleed from 1,000 wounds. Earth paid a terrible price, cities lost, millions dead, scars that would never fade. Yet humanity endured, adapting faster than the enemy could predict. Every sacrifice sharpened their will. When the final Viox command ship fell above Earth, it was not met with celebration. Only grim resolve. The war ended not with surrender, but with terms dictated by Earth. The Viox Concord was dismantled, its fleets disarmed, its diplomats forced to listen instead of command. Humanity did not seek extermination. It demanded accountability, autonomy for conquered worlds, and an end to empire through fear. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. Earth emerged scarred but unbroken. A species once deemed primitive had reshaped galactic power through sheer refusal to yield. Humanity had proven a final truth. When threatened with extinction, humans do not beg. They adapt, they endure, and when pushed far enough, they strike back with everything they have. The galaxy did not return to normal after the fall of the Viox Concord. Normal had been built on fear, silence, and the quiet acceptance of chains. Humanity had shattered that balance forever. In the months following the war, Earth became the center of interstellar attention. Delegations from liberated worlds arrived cautiously, some in awe, others in disbelief. They expected conquerors, tyrants born from victory. Instead, they found a wounded species still burying its dead. Human cities were scarred landscapes of steel and memory. Rebuilt streets carried names of battles rather than heroes. Monuments were not statues of generals, but lists of civilians who had stood their ground. Human leaders refused titles of empire. They spoke openly of loss, of mistakes, of the unbearable cost of survival. This honesty unsettled the galaxy more than any weapon ever could. Former Viox territories descended into chaos as power structures collapsed. Human task forces intervened not as rulers, but as stabilizers. They dismantled weapon stockpiles, restored communication networks, and trained local defenses. Freedom humanity had learned could not be handed down from orbit. The remaining Viox species were placed under strict oversight. Not imprisoned, not exterminated, but watched. Their diplomats now sat in chambers where humans dictated terms. They listened as humans described a concept the Concord had never understood. Deterrence through unity rather than terror. Military analysts across the galaxy studied human warfare obsessively. They searched for a single secret weapon, a miracle technology, a fatal flaw in alien armor. They found none. Humanity's true weapon was persistence, a willingness to fight long after logic demanded surrender. Earth began sharing defensive technologies with willing worlds. Not planet killers, but shield networks, early warning systems, and evacuation infrastructure. The message was subtle but unmistakable. Never fight alone again. Veterans of the ultimate war struggled to return to civilian life. Some could not sleep beneath open skies, haunted by memories of orbital fire. Others became teachers, engineers, and explorers, determined to build more than they had destroyed. Children born after the war learned a different history, not one of inevitable domination by stronger species, but of a moment when the galaxy learned that humans could say no. Decades passed, and humanity spread beyond its solar system, not as conquerors, but as participants in a fragile new order. Human colonies were fortified, self-sufficient, and fiercely independent. Every settlement carried one unspoken rule: never give up the ability to fight back. Rumors spread of distant powers watching from beyond mapped space, ancient civilizations that had remained silent during the Concorde's reign. They now whispered humanity's name with caution. A species that survived the impossible could not be ignored. When the first of these unknown probes crossed into human-monitored territory, it was not met with panic, nor with aggression, but with a fleet standing ready, weapons charged, channels open. Humanity had learned to prepare without provoking. The probe turned away, a silent acknowledgement of boundaries respected. On Earth, the anniversary of the surrender demand was marked every year, not as a celebration, but as remembrance, a reminder of what had nearly been lost, and what had been defended at any cost. Elder survivors told stories to new generations, of the day the sky went dark, of the moment humanity chose resistance over submission. They spoke not of glory, but of responsibility, because humanity understood now that strength carried consequence, that striking back reshaped the universe in ways that could not be undone, and that vigilance was the price of freedom. The galaxy would never again see Earth as a weak blue world. It would see it as a warning. Push us too far, and we will endure longer than you expect. Threaten our existence, and we will answer with everything we are. Humanity did not become the ruler of the stars. It became something far more dangerous, a precedent. And in the endless silence between galaxies, that precedent echoed. Peace never announces when it ends. It fades quietly, replaced by tension, by unanswered signals, by the slow tightening of defenses. Years after the ultimate war, humanity had grown cautious, but not complacent. Deep space sensors detected movements beyond known routes. Not fleets, not invasions, but coordinated observation. Someone was studying humanity the way the Concorde once had. The Galactic Council, formed after the war, convened in emergency session. Representatives from dozens of species argued in fear and suspicion. Some blamed humanity for awakening old powers. Others believed the galaxy had always been watched, waiting for someone to resist. Human delegates spoke plainly. They did not deny responsibility. They accepted it. Exploration fleets were launched beyond mapped space, not to threaten, but to understand. Each ship carried diplomats, scientists, and soldiers in equal measure. Humanity would not repeat the mistakes of the past. The first contact came near a dead star. A construct older than any known civilization emerged from darkness. It did not fire. It did not speak. It simply mirrored human formation and matched speed. Hours passed in silence. Then a transmission arrived, not in words, but in mathematical sequence. A question without language. Are you conquerors? Humanity responded with records. Images of Earth burning, of cities rebuilt, of weapons dismantled after victory. They sent proof of refusal, loss, and restraint. The construct withdrew. But the message was clear. Humanity had been measured not as prey, but as a variable. In the months that followed, ancient structures across the galaxy activated. Gateways long dormant began to hum. Civilizations older than recorded history emerged from isolation. They were not united. Some feared humanity. Others respected it. A few resented it deeply. The galaxy entered a new era. Not of peace, but of balance. Human military doctrine evolved, no longer centered on survival alone, but on deterrence without domination. Human fleets were designed to be visible, powerful, and restrained. a reminder rather than a threat. Cultural exchange followed. Alien students studied on Earth. Humans walked under foreign suns. Misunderstandings occurred, conflicts flared. But none escalated to extinction. Yet beneath diplomacy, tension remained. Ancient powers tested borders. Proxy wars ignited in distant systems. Humanity intervened selectively. Never as saviors, never as rulers. Critics accused Earth of hypocrisy, of becoming what it once opposed. Human leaders responded with transparency. Every intervention debated, every casualty acknowledged. No war hidden behind silence. The greatest test came when a coalition of ancient species issued an ultimatum. Not surrender, but limitation. They demanded humanity dismantle its long-range defense networks, claiming the balance of power was threatened. The echoes of the past were impossible to ignore. Humanity remembered the calm voices of Vayek's diplomats, the polite certainty of inevitable submission. This time, the response was different. Humanity did not refuse immediately. It invited inspection, dialogue, and joint oversight. Strength shared, not surrendered. Some ancient species accepted. Others withdrew in anger. None attacked. The galaxy watched closely. The precedent continued to evolve. On Earth, citizens debated endlessly. Some argued humanity should retreat inward, protect only itself. Others believed isolation would invite future disaster. The argument itself was proof of growth. Humanity was no longer united by fear alone, but by responsibility. When a distant system collapsed into civil war, threatening billions, human fleets arrived not with planet killers, but with evacuation corridors and ceasefire enforcement. They did not choose sides. They stopped annihilation. Not all thanked them. Some never would. As generations passed, the ultimate war became history rather than memory. But its lessons remained carved into doctrine, culture, and instinct. Never underestimate silence. Never mistake diplomacy for weakness. Never demand surrender from a species that remembers. In the vastness of space, humanity found its place not at the center, but as a fixed point others navigated around. A constant variable, and somewhere beyond the edge of known stars. Something listened, something calculated, something waited. Humanity did not fear it. Fear had been burned away long ago. Whatever came next, humans would meet it as they always had. Aware of the cost, prepared to endure it, and ready, if forced, to strike back once more.